were there sects, religious sects in the ancient Jewish Commonwealth? That's an interesting thing to think about. But when you read Baruch Spinoza's Theologico-political treatise, he does touch on that. He does mention that, in fact, one thing he says about the very first Commonwealth of the Jewish is that even the word religion was not part of their language. So whatever they practiced to them was not religion. It is us who kind of like look at it by reading the Old Testament and we see religion. But for them, it wasn't really religion. It was a commonwealth. It was a state. Whatever they were doing it for the survival of them as a people in a commonwealth. So it wasn't religion for them. It was laws and constitution, penal code, and all this, and how to live together in harmony as a society. So when you think of it that way, then the question of sects becomes like, it doesn't come up. In fact, Baruch says that what made you to be a citizen in the first commonwealth of the Jewish people is by you observing all the laws that were given by Moses. If you observed every one of those laws, then you are a citizen. The moment you abandoned one or a few and you no longer observe those laws, then you ceased being a citizen. And in fact, Baruch says then you are considered to be an enemy of the state because now you are not part of the entire body. Now, looking at it from that, and then it's so clear that at least in the very first Commonwealth, there were no sects, like religious sects. But in another part of this book, Baruch talks about the emergence of the Sadducees and the Pharisees, which were now sects. But again, when you read the entire book, especially when you are trying to understand the political organization of this Commonwealth, then maybe using the word sect is not the right word, really. Maybe political parties. Because these were political forces. They were not like, because our assumption is when you look at the Sadducees and the Pharisees as sects, we are looking at it from our own understanding because we live in societies, most of us at least today, we live in societies where there is religion and then there is the state. Now, in the religion part, there will be different sects. Now we look at them. In the political world, there are political parties and organizations. But in this ancient society of the Jewish, the religion and the state were one and the same thing, basically. Now, when you look at the Sadducees and the Pharisees, yes, even Baruch himself describes them as sects in some parts, but when you look at everything, then you realize maybe sect is not the right word, maybe they were political parties, or maybe something in between political parties and sects.